As you probably know, moving to North Idaho can get pretty damn expensive. Well, in today's video, I'm going to give you some tips to help you make that move for less. I've got lots of great info, so stick around to the very end. Let's jump in. Hey guys, if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and tap the notifications bell so you can stay up to date on all of our latest content. Our team gets calls, texts, emails every single day from people just like you trying to learn more about North Idaho and curious about moving here. So if that's you, shoot us a call, text, or email. We would love to get that conversation started, whether it's right now or 12 months from now. It does not matter. Give us a holler. Let's go. All right, tip number one. This may seem fairly obvious, but it's not to everyone. If you're trying to move to North Idaho without breaking the bank, choose the right location. All right. And that's where connecting with a real estate professional in the area or their team is going to be super beneficial. When people are moving here, they usually reach out to us. We get the conversation started. First thing we like to do when they move to town is one of us will go meet them at a local coffee shop, such as Life Public House. And we will sit down and kind of talk about what their motivations are, what areas they're considering, and give them the rundown of North Idaho, because there are a lot of places to consider up here and they're each different and unique in their own way. So having that connection with someone that lives here and has been here and is in the business is super beneficial. Looking at correct areas. So if you want to move to downtown Coeur d'Alene or Sanders Beach or Riverstone, it's super spendy. So if you're trying to do this on a budget, those are not going to be the places for you. You're going to want to look outside of that main city area of Coeur d'Alene for sure. Sandpoint is similar. It's a little bit cheaper than Coeur d'Alene, but same kind of thing going on. If you're in the downtown Sandpoint area, it's generally going to be a little bit more expensive. So look outside of those bigger cities. Look at some of the smaller towns, Clark Fork, Hope, Priest River, Bonners Ferry, maybe Kellogg, Wallace. So if you're looking for a budget, those are going to be probably better bets for you. There's a trade-off, of course, because they tend to be a little bit farther away from things. So if you do need to get to work, depending on where you work, that could be an issue. So all of those things to consider. Area that you choose is super important. If you wanted to stay more local to Coeur d'Alene, Post Falls and Rathdrum are a little bit more budget friendly, especially for young families. So things to consider, but that's a conversation to have over coffee. All right, tip number two, moving during off-peak seasons. If you try to move here in the summertime, you're very likely that all of the moving companies and all the businesses associated with that are going to be very busy, because that is the peak season for real estate and people moving in the area. So that is definitely something to consider. Here's the drawback. If you end up moving here in the wintertime, you are rolling the dice on weather. It can be done. It happens all the time. But if you catch it in a snowstorm or something like that, it is going to add some difficulty to your move and potentially some cost if the movers need to charge you more for whatever reason. So definitely a good consideration is to think maybe avoid that summertime if possible. Maybe you can't. You've got kids getting into school or whatever, and you need to move at that time. I get it. Totally can be done too. But if you want to save a little bit of money, sometimes it can be helpful to do it spring, fall, potentially winter. But remember, you're rolling the dice on that one. All right, I'm shooting myself in the foot with this one, but it can be a great move for some people, and that is to rent before you buy. Obviously, we make our business selling homes, not rentals, but sometimes I do tell people that, hey, if you don't know what area you're considering or you're a little wishy-washy and you need to feel it out, find yourself a month-to-month rental or a short-term rental and feel out the different areas. Then you can spend some time driving around the different communities and get an idea of what everything's like, drive times, stuff like that. So that's super important. And obviously not many realtors will tell you that, but good information. Also, if you're looking to buy and you're ready to buy and you're looking to save big money, sometimes you can come across foreclosures or fixer-uppers. There are not a lot of foreclosures on the market right now. It's not that type of market. So hard to find, but they can come up occasionally. And generally when they do, they get swooped in on pretty quick. But you will be very likely to find a fixer-upper. And depending on the area, some are a bit more work than others, but sometimes a little bit of sweat equity will get you a great value in home, even with the hot North Idaho market. All right, next tip, free or almost free entertainment. So North Idaho is a wonderful outdoor experience. It is everywhere. Nature is easily accessible here. There's tons to do outside, and a lot of it does not require money, such as hiking. Well, camping will require a little bit, but not that much. Fishing does not require a ton of money. Hunting, man, you could spend some money doing that for sure. But what I'm trying to point out is there is a lot of outdoor recreation available here that you can go do to save money. So you don't have to go to the movies, go downtown, go drinking, do all of those other things that a lot of people consider entertainment. You can find all of that right here in North Idaho for free or almost free. All right, let's talk about cost-effective utilities and services. So this is a great thing to consider. Utilities up here are generally a lot cheaper than most states. So I'm talking power, natural gas, if it's available, water, sewer, all that stuff. Generally a lot cheaper, right? Your utility bill, especially if you're coming from California, is going to be less than half of what you're paying for sure. So that's something to consider right there, which is great. You're going to save money right away without having to do anything. Other things to consider are alternative heating sources. So maybe purchase a home with a fireplace or a wood stove and use that to heat your home. There are a lot of places you can go harvest your own wood. Obviously, it requires labor and generally a truck, but you can do it. And that can be a great way to save money on heating costs in the wintertime, which is fantastic. All right, next tip is going to be related to jobs. Maybe you're lucky and you've got a remote job that you can move here with, and that's fantastic if you can do that. That's a great way to move up here without breaking the budget. But if not, and you're looking for work, here are some of the top places to go look. You're going to be in the hospitality industry, the healthcare industry, and the trade industry. Those are some very hot businesses right now and generally pretty easy to find work in. We're always looking for nurses up here and of course doctors. And then in the trades, there is tons of construction going on, commercial, residential, everything in between. So it's fairly easy, especially if you're coming up here with skills or experience in any of those fields, to get hired on in one of those positions. Sometimes that work is seasonal for sure, but that's a great way to get up here and, secure a job right away. Or like I said, if you work remotely, have that job before you come up. Much easier transition to do it that way. All right, next tip, DIY your move. Hiring a moving company is extremely expensive. I've talked about it in a lot of videos, and it is definitely a roll of the dice on the quality of that company. I got screwed big time moving up here. So bad that I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement that I can't even tell you the name of the company. How's that? So DIY that move. What I tell a lot of people that seems to work really well is to hire a company like Pods, or something similar. There are other ones out there, and hire a local mover where you currently live to load the pods for you with the heavy stuff, so you're not doing it. And then hire a local mover when you get up here to unload the pods. That is probably the most cost-effective way to do it, and definitely the best way to save your back and your friendships. Now, of course, you can buy a trailer or rent a trailer or a truck and do it yourself. Same thing. I would recommend when you get up here, at least hire somebody to do the bigger lifting for you, unless you're a strapping young lad and you want to get crazy and do it yourself. Always an option and the cheapest option. But if you're not, then I think hiring somebody on this end is a great way to do it. And we have a couple of companies we can recommend when the time comes. So hit us up. All right. Transportation considerations. This is a tip we've talked about in previous videos. If you're thinking about selling a car in another state before you move up here, wait until you get up here. There is an Idaho tax credit that if you trade in a vehicle to get a new vehicle, they will credit you what the sales tax would be on the trade-in towards the new vehicle. So it can save you a lot of money or make that sales tax completely go away. That is an Idaho state tax break that's not dependent on the dealership. So that is a great way if you're thinking about moving because you're like, hey, I need to get an all-wheel drive vehicle or a four-wheel drive. I want to get my truck finally. Maybe do that once you get up here. So take your old car up here, trade it in, get something new, and use that tax credit to your advantage. All right, last and final tip. Connect with local resources. So I'm talking about Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace are an excellent resource to pick up furniture or sell furniture and things like that. We've got tons of thrift shops in the area and it's not all junk. There's some good stuff to be found in there. That is a great resource to buy some furniture or maybe temporary things and kind of help ease that transition in the move. Also looking on Facebook groups, there are some wonderful Facebook groups. There's the Moving to North Idaho. That's an excellent Facebook group that's out there. Tons of people you can get on there and ask questions and learn a lot about the area by diving into those groups and great way to pick up furniture. So that's my final tip. All right, that's a wrap. Hopefully you got some value out of that. Like I said, moving to North Idaho can be a very expensive endeavor, but hopefully utilizing some of those tips, using us as a resource to help you make that move, we can kind of cut down on that cost for you, at least in saving in a few places. So thank you guys again for joining us. And remember, if you're looking to move right now or 12 months from now, shoot us a call, text, or email. We got you covered.